Hi everyone, this week it's mainly for the New Zealand English teachers at high school because we are going to look through our lovely new draft curriculum because I know a lot of you are thinking about it already, mulling things over in your mind and maybe even starting to plan. So let's get into it. Right, first of all, let's get this out of the way. I know there's a lot of contention about the draft curriculum, the new curriculum and things, but whatever. I'm just going to take my mum's advice and not overthink it and just get on with it. I'm going to leave the thinking to people like Enzate, but just start plotting my way through as it is. Now, I know a lot of you are starting to think about the requirements for the new curriculum and starting to even plan for it in the hope that you can tweak later, which I don't think is a bad idea because it's going to prevent a lot of hard work over the next summer holidays, right? So I just wanted to show you how I take a big document that I'm unfamiliar with and I kind of reformat it. I go through it, I get an overview, reformat and plod my way through it until I understand it and until it's in a format that is going to suit my brain, my thinking, my needs. It's the same thing with, say, the new achievement standards for level 1 when they came out. It was just about plodding through, looking at the explanatory notes, the guidance, all that stuff. Same thing with the unit standards. Now, I get a lot of emails and phone calls saying, oh, so I'm new to this standard and I don't know how to teach it. What do I do? Well, read the standard and start nutting it out, write it out in your own words if you need to, So that's kind of the logistics behind how you can understand these new things. But anyway, I'm waffling. I tell you what, I have noticed that is this draft is very much like what we used to do 20, 30 years ago, and you can think what you like about that. I quite like it actually, but then I'm of that era. Anyway, let's go to the document and see how I map it out. Clearly we are in the next day. Ta-da! Magic. Now I'm cutting this in because I want to show you a before and an after picture. So I want to show you how I have taken the curriculum document and I have kind of morphed it into a teaching program for year 9. Well, a tiny little part of it anyway. So I will take you through that process, and the freebie that I have done and linked below gives you that process in a template too, if it's any use, I don't know. But anyway, let's have a look at the before and the after. Right, so we've got language studies here, which I will explain later, phase 4 of the curriculum for year 9 and 10. And I have got 2 pages here relating to crafting texts. And that is a big meh to me. If I want to go and teach, say, here we have persuasive text, I've got to kind of wade my way through this stuff, it's not specific enough for me. Imagine if I was a young teacher just coming in and I need that guidance, it's not at a glancey enough for me. It's not inviting for me to read, and it's not specific enough. So over here, this is the 3rd phase. So I will take you through sort of how I started here, and then I got to here, and I've added notes here because I will have that freebie linked below, and it will be in the freebies library if you sign in on the website. So I've added some notes about what I did there. And then here's my last phase. Well, it's kind of a draft, but I have outlined it. So you've got a teaching program now. And so from this curriculum document here to this teaching program. So now if I want to teach persuasive text to my year 9, I just go to these yellow outlined bits here. And they tell me everything that I have got to teach my students. It is far more practical, in my opinion. This is all my opinion. The blue writing is stuff that I've added from my knowledge of 30 years of teaching. Draft, but you get the idea. Linked below. Let's get into it now though. Let's go. Okay, sorry, you're going to be faced side on to me because my camera's on a different screen. But right, what do we see here? We have here the curriculum document. The draft curriculum document is of March 2025. You can see there. And it is currently July 2025. So worth noting that, I think. So we're starting at phase 4 because I'm looking at high school years, obviously, 9 and 10, and down, we'll go down to 11 to 13 as well, up to. Now, I know in the perfect world, I will be looking at the years that come before this, but at this stage, this is my first, okay, it's not really my first, but it's kind of my first foray into this draft. So I want to just start with what I really need, and that's the 9 to 10 first. So this is, you'll be disgusted with me. This page, too much writing for me. I'm just looking at the headings. That's it, and subheadings, and I go down from there. So I'm not interested in this in-depth information first. I am going through blah, blah, blah. Oh, here we go, heading, language studies. Now you can see here we've got our knowledge and we've got our practices. So that's that, what is it? Know, do, what they've got to know, what they've got to do. I hate that that's separated out, quite frankly. It's PC stuff to me, but whatever. Anyway, so under language studies here, we've got crafting text, and then under crafting text, we've got audience of purpose, expository, persuasive, creative texts. Yes. Okay, so what I have done is, if we have a look over here, now I always work in PowerPoint, as most of you know by now. I've just made a little note up the top here on this up here that this is July 2025, and this is my outline of this document. So I've got here, so language studies, that heading there, this is my heading here, language studies up here, and then under that I've got these headings and subheadings. So we've got crafting text here and crafting text here, and you can see audience of purpose, expository, persuasive. I've written down here going in a bit, so I'm just mapping it all out, and I've put 19 to 13 here because I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because I know where I'm going to go with this, but even before that I knew that I would need to have something there for each year level because I want to see it across the levels. So right, so we've got crafting text. Now we scroll down on this document. I'm missing out this stuff. I'm just looking at the knowledge. Crafting text, okay, we've still got visual text, and that's visual text there. Grammar and punctuation, so I've put that in as well, as you can see there. And carrying on, looking for my headings, oral communication, so that one's on an Audi. So I've put that here now, and then what comes under oral communication is presenting and listening, and you can see I've put those over onto that side as well, so onto my document there. And I've carried on through, and I actually missed the heading text studies to begin with. I missed this, and I had the next, I had it all wrong anyway, because I missed this heading. So, okay, so we've got language studies and we've got text studies. And then I've just gone through, repeated the same process. There's one subheading there, text analysis, and all the bits in between, and they are there. And then flicking through, critical analysis, responding to text, and all the things that come under there. So those are all down on this document here now. As you see there, that's under text studies. And then we're into phase 5. So that's the 11 to 13s, and we'll look at that in a minute. But as you can see, once I had mapped this out, I could see the format. I could see how it was mapping out what the kids need to be learning. Because otherwise, yeah, I tell you what, the other thing that I would have done, but I can't get my printer to connect, is I would print it out and maybe cut all the bits up and move those around and put them in together in the right places, because I don't like, for example, that they've got, so the knowledge here, I don't like that they've got that separated from practices. I want to move all of this stuff here, what year nines have to do, I want to move that up into the same box up here. I want it all together. So I might have done that with a slow methodical, literally cut it out and glue it together or lay it out on the floor. But that would probably just be a process for my brain. I would then go to this phase. So it depends how you work, you know. I'm quite kinesthetic and I'm very, very visual. How I became an English teacher is beyond me. Too many words on these pages, too many words, no pictures. Okay, so that is the first step. Then I go to phase 5. As you can see here, phase 5 is 11 to 13, and I'm thinking, oh yes, it's going to be the same. It's not. So phase 5, all the wordy pages. Okay. Language studies, yes. Confused myself there for a minute. Language studies. So we're starting back up here on our document, and I'm thinking, I was just going to check that these are all the same, assuming that they would be. However, they are not. Well, they are. Yeah, okay. So year 11 to 13 is the same, except that these ones in grey do not appear. So you can see here, crafting text, audience and purpose, same as audience and purpose here. Or trying to highlight audience and purpose. Yep, cool. And then it goes into, so we're still crafting text, persuasive text, creative text. What happened to expository text? I don't really know why expository is taken out of the seniors, but I guess they're supposed to have nailed that by then, right? So they still you can't teach everything every year, can you? So it's mapped out quite nicely for you, I reckon. There's no visual text mentioned for year 11 to 13, and obviously you're going to be teaching these texts here, but they don't say anything explicit about them in this document. So we have a look at text analysis, scroll down here, text analysis, text studies, text analysis. So you've got aspects of text. That's all you've got, aspects of text under those senior years. Okay, back again. Now I want to nut things out for each year level. So I'm going to start with year 9. Now so here's our original document where, so yeah, the outline. Now that's given us a great little at a glance document to see how everything's mapped out. As I said before, now I've copy pasted and just did year 9, and I'm going to add my notes in here. As you can see, I've already started doing that. Now, here's a little tip for young players. As I've done it, and this is why we're doing this video, so you can learn through me and my mistakes, I think that you should do this in a Google document so you can spread as far as you like then, and then you can tighten it up later. But anyway, I'm committed here. So now we're looking at year 9. As I said, I've just got a year 9 document here, and I am looking at the language studies first, crafting text. And I've looked here at what these things mean under audience and purpose with the intention of copying them over to this part of it here. And I have done that, but I've been playing around with it as well. So considering an audience involves analysing its characteristics and expectations. So I've got here audience, characteristics, and expectations. Identify. Now, why have I written identify there? Because I came down here and it says that students have to identify their intended audience purpose when planning text. So identify. So I'm trying to marry the two. I'm sure this is completely not politically correct. I'm sure it's like killing all the pedagogy brainiacs out there who sit in their offices all day, but I don't care because this has got to be a workable document. So purpose of a text influences the text content, style, and length. So I've got here purpose, text content, style, and length, and you can see I've got language and structure in there because they mention language and structure in here. And this next one down, we've already got stylistic features mentioned, so language and structure. And down here it talks about structure, language and structure as well. So I've just put those all in there. Planning for audience and purpose, they've got to brainstorm and outline. Where did I say that? Planning techniques here, brainstorming and outlining to help them organise their ideas. I don't need, for my school document, I don't need to help them organise their ideas. I know what planning is. Planning is what we're doing now, right, to help us organise our ideas. So I don't need all that little small stuff. And then we've got peer review and feedback. Well, I'm just doing peer feedback because, well, you need review and feedback. Peer feedback. And then I've added here reflection because I see that that is down here, reflection. Okay, so we've got to actively teach these students how to do this, which is what we should be doing anyway. Now, expository texts provide explanation or information about a particular subject. Right, I'm just going to copy that, paste that there. For somebody in my department who might not know, persuasive text convince the reader to agree with the author's point of view. Control-C, Control-V. So this is just to clarify, as I say, for everyone. Explore ideas, emotions, and experiences in imaginative ways. Yep, copy paste. Okay, and we're going to stop there. Now, what else? We've got language features, e.g. listing, textual evidence, okay, structural features, headings, stylistic features. I'm going to put that there because that's very handy when I go to plan my little unit for an expository text, right? So I'm just going to put that here. Now I will bullet point these as well because it's all about the visual, right? Looks matter. Oh, there's text. And I'm going to get rid of this. So now you're going to be thinking, oh my God, that's so laborious. And enhance and shape meaning. I'm going to take out an expository text there. However, in doing this, you get to know your curriculum. This is the best way. This is how I got to know the new level 1 standards, by playing around with them and mapping them out first. And then, this is a little aside, I actually did the standard, like pretended I was a kid and thought about what I would need. So, and that's taken 2 years to get that into my head. But this is quite different, obviously, because you can't do it yourself. You can't. There's no activity for you to do. You're just mapping it out. And as I say, as you format, you will get to know it. Now, I'm thinking, so I'll do that for each of them. But then look at this stuff here. It's just about, it's the stuff that covers everything. It's the planning. It's the appropriate language structure and stylistic features. It's about drafting, citing sources where appropriate. It's about evaluating, revising, so you're editing. It's about establishing personal voice, and it's about evidence examples. I should have turned my phone to silent, shouldn't I? One moment, please, caller. Right. So this, I'm thinking, oh, that kind of goes with everything. So I am actually going to go to table layout, and if you're in your Google Sheet or your Excel spreadsheet, it's going to be much easier for you. I'm just going to go down here and I'm going to merge these down to creative text, and I'm just going to put all of that there, and then I will bullet point it out, and I will take out all the little bits that I don't need. So it forces me to read it, and then I get to know it, and I can find shortcuts and how to format it all out, and really it ends up being quite easy. But like I say, you're probably thinking that seems really laborious, but it won't, because it'll get faster, because this stuff will, what I'll do is once I've got this done for year 9, so in PowerPoint you just Control D, and then I do it for year, I'll change it to year 10, and I'll be done. So easy peasy, but I'll obviously change the bits that need changing, because these bits over on this side are for year 10. However, again, they're still going to be needing to plan, to edit, to review. So we're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater just because they're in year 10. They just got to add on. So this is about scaffolding them through year by year.
As I said, I hope I didn't make that sound too laborious and slow and painful, because it's not really. It's actually great going to a document and going, okay, how does this work? As I say, if I could have printed it out, it probably would have been easier, would have been able to see everything better. But either way, go through, look at your headings, your titles, your headings, your subheadings, and so on, and map it out. Get that visually appealing document, that map, done first, so that you can navigate your way through, and then add the bits and pieces and move things around so that it makes sense to you. Hopefully I'll get something done up as a freebie. No guarantees though. Might just sort of muck around with some of the year 9 stuff, or at least give you a bit of a template, I don't know. And I will link that below if I do manage it. Like I say, no guarantees. But anyway, that's the way my head works. I think you've got to find what works for you, but I hope that's of some help. Enjoy.